I look distinctly happier today. How are you doing, Chris?
You do look happy. You look just as pretty.
Just as pretty, yeah.
I think my fake tan now is beginning to fade to the point where it does just look...
On camera, you look normal. In person, you still look quite tanned. But I think
camera...
we've got a light box on us now, which is a little... It's quite bright, so it does perhaps wash us out a bit. But...
Well, I think I almost look a little bit like I've just been out in the sun of an afternoon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like
maybe I've
tan.
slightly caught the sun. Not necessarily in a particularly good looking. It just looks a bit red. Do you know what I mean? Like no one just in the
yeah,
forehead.
you don't look like that in person.
I'm not complaining. I'm just observing.
Yeah.
But that isn't a look you'd go for with fake tan, is it?
No.
That slightly caught the sun, slightly red.
Slightly heat stroke.
Or is his skin going to start to peel? That kind of a.
No, you don't look sunburned. I don't think.
No, but it's. But that's fine. It's just an observation, as I say. I'm not vain about it.
Okay, well, I am vain, as we have discovered. So what we decided that we'd do after we finished filming yesterday's was I was going to then use the same equipment as Chris used to have a go myself.
That could be a very telling...
And this was the result.
Ah.
But actually, in person, it doesn't look as dramatic on screen as it does in person, but that's, I think, cameras for you. But yeah, so this is what it could look like. I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. I hate wearing false eyelashes because they just annoy me, and I'm not very good at putting them on. But other than that, I did a quite good job, I think. So
I think it's a similar effect.
Similar, yeah.
I think you look...
I think maybe mine's a tad more understated.
Well, I didn't say this on camera, but I said it to you the other day. I think you looked... Because I was looking back on the photos.
Yeah.
And you look... Yesterday, I think you looked like you were made up to be a dancer in like an interpretive dance in a bit of modern theatre or something.
I could see that. It sort of
rather
had
than
like
for actually going about the place.
Yeah, kind of maybe something theatrical or artsy.
Yeah.
Not like glam night out, which I think was what the look was supposed to be. But it was a look. It was a look. Oh, I should say it is the 22nd of May.
Yeah, that too.
And it is day 63 of lockdown now. And yeah, and it's been a big day here. We did sort of say that there was a few things coming up. Not really a big day for me. I've just spent ages doing my makeup. To be fair, this took ages. So like, I don't think I did it much faster than you did it. It was a lot of faff. But yeah, quite pleased with the results. So there we are. But yeah, you have, well, we mentioned that today was the day the British Comedy Guide article came out, and it came out today and it looks great. So I will put the link in the comments, in the blurb even. And then this afternoon you had Boardgame Smackdown.
Yeah, panel show that I did that is still available to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, it was really good. I watched it live, which was fun because it meant I could sort of participate because you can make your own guesses. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But then the other big thing today is that tonight is the BBC Sesh show coming out on BBC One. So by the time you watch this tomorrow, that will already have been on the telly, but it will be on iPlayer. I think things stay on iPlayer for 28 days usually, so you'll have a while to watch that. So yeah, if you just write, is it just called Stand-Up-Sesh?
Stand-Up-Sesh.
Because it's everybody who stars of BBC Sesh, which is mainly online stuff.
So,
and it's Wales focused.
Lots of Welsh comedians, lots of people on it actually. So I don't know, there's going to be a lot of me on there.
Yeah.
They're cramming a lot of people
Well,
in.
it's 28 minutes and there's quite a few acts. So I'm assuming
acts, so.
no, it's not as bad as that. But I think it's probably going to be sort of 2 to 3 minutes max of everybody, or maybe more of some and less of others. I don't know, but we'll see. You're on there. You got the credit. That's BBC One. Still counts. But I think that will be really good. I only obviously saw, I think it was 4 acts that performed on the gig that you recorded for them. But obviously this is over several gigs that they did, lots of people. I've seen a few, well, I've seen probably most of them before, at least once or twice. And yeah, it's a good little lineup. So I think it'll be really good and worth a watch. And yeah, BBC One TV credit. Can't really complain about that, can you? So yeah, big day. Comedy-wise, also the hard work that you did yesterday on the makeup tutorial of actually doing it.
God.
And then a lot of editing went into that today.
Never ending the work
but
on
it is
makeup
out.
tutorials. People who make makeup tutorials.
I think they usually do it in one take.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we were stopping and then looking at the tutorial video and then carrying on. But yeah, I think the one that we watched was all one take.
Probably does help if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But we
had to cut a few bits out of me, like him going, okay, which one's concealer?
It was the biggest editing job. Not that I traditionally in my life have done a lot of editing, but I've made a few sketches now, and this is far and away the biggest editing job I've ever made for myself. And not even particularly complicated or showy editing.
Just cutting bits out, really, wasn't it?
And I'm using quite a primitive kind of program on my iPhone to do it all, and it's just keep repeating the same process of editing and scrolling back and slowly deleting bits and finding the right bit that you need. So like I say, it's not sophisticated editing, it's not showy, it doesn't look like, oh, look at the editing on this. It's not
really meant to, is it?
No, but but
if you just left it uncut, it would have been about an hour and a half long.
And it's now only 28 minutes, which is probably still longer than most people will have time for. And I don't blame
I would say if you do watch it though, do make sure you hang around at the end, because there's a little outtake in there that is worth a watch.
It's hard to kind of get a handle on what passes for entertainment these days, even in my own mind. But
I've got a real weak spot for corpsing, because just watching other people uncontrollably laughing makes me laugh, but watching me uncontrollably laughing reduces me to exactly the same state I was in at the time.
I think it is entertaining watching me do your makeup for half an hour and talk as if I'm trying to talk as if I know what I'm doing. It is funny. I also think like you're competing with a lot of entertainment in this world. It's hard enough to get anyone to watch a 4-minute video on
28
YouTube
minutes is
Facebook.
ambitious. I don't expect it's going to be one of our highest viewed things.
I just didn't want to.
For anyone who's maybe sort of got a bit of likes what you do, the other stuff, it might be quite nice to have in the background, because it's not really, nobody's watching it for actual makeup tips. So just listening to some of the stuff he says is probably the main thing that you're going to get out of it.
I thought I'd rather leave it at 28 minutes and be like pleased with what was left in the edit and kind of kept in all the stuff and also it mentions like every stage of what I'm doing, and like there's no jumping to like, oh, suddenly she's got red lips. You do. Everything is kept in, but it's edited out all the gaps and the silences, but everything is kind of mentioned and explained. But also then there's lots of me.
Well, it would be the case in a makeup tutorial.
Yeah, I didn't want to edit it down to like 3 minutes, which I probably could have done, like 3 minutes of jumpy kind of highlights. But I realise I'm kind of limiting the appeal of it. But
it's there, it's made, it's part of your repertoire, and it's out there now. I think it is really funny.
Does want to watch it and make very specific comments about things I say towards the end, so I know you've watched all the way through. That'd be really encouraging.
But yeah, David, my brother David, I've got two brothers. He's my eldest brother. I think it's safe to say he is not somebody who sort of bestows praise like confetti. I think he doesn't really sort of give praise unless he feels it's warranted, and he sent me a message which I hadn't actually showed you yet, just to sort of say, I've been watching yours and Chris's makeup tutorial and it's really funny, which I will take
nice.
As
yeah, I'm happy with that.
He means that, because he won't go out of his way to compliment something if he thinks it's shit.
That's it. He messaged you, it wasn't like he was put on the spot or anything. So
I thought that was lovely, and yeah, I think it is funny. I do feel better now that I've appeared on camera again, looking better. I rewatched the blurb every time after we've done it to write. I rewatched the web. I rewatched these so that I can write the blurbs. And last night I was just like, oh god, I can see how uncomfortable I am, but I also realise it does make for very funny viewing. Like, you can, like, how uncomfortable I am is funny. So anyone who isn't me will probably quite enjoy last night's vlog. And actually, in hindsight, I do. Now that but yeah, it's I didn't realise I was quite so vain. But I don't like looking bad. Well, no, I like looking deliberately bad. I've done like horror makeup and stuff before, and actually looking like scary or gross, that's real. Like, getting like a strong reaction of fear or like out of someone when you look hideous is quite empowering. But just looking a bit shit I don't like that, apparently. So I've learned something about myself there. I am vainer than I realised.
I
So
still disagree that you look shit, but
that's very kind of you.
Agree to disagree.
It was quite sweet. I came down with this makeup on, and you went, "Yep, that looks good too." I was like, bless.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can both do it.
We can both do
makeup.
Yeah.
But that is out, as we mentioned. It's on Facebook and YouTube, so we'll put the link in the description to this.
That will also be added to the playlist, so that'll be in. It'll probably it'll go up before this one because I'll just put it in the playlist this evening. So it'll be the one before this if you do watch them in order. But that would actually make sense because you'll have yesterday's vlog talking about it, then you'll have the actual thing, and then you'll have today's talking about making the thing. So.
But when did the NHS one go up?
Oh God, all the days have blended together.
Yeah,
I've got no idea.
I'm trying to think, was that this week or was that earlier than that?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I will say something to someone of like, oh yeah, yesterday I did that, and then someone will go, that was this morning, and I'm like, really, was it? It feels time has lost all meaning.
Want to check?
Like really, I just don't. I can't, like, everything feels like it was longer ago than it was, which I think suggests that time's going quite slowly. But actually, I am quite enjoying myself, which it feels bad to say, because obviously I don't want to be in lockdown. I don't think I'm sort of like reveling in it and really enjoying lockdown. But I think we have got to a stage where we have found a way to make the best of it, and we're enjoying making the best of it.
That was 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
So that was only this week. So that's kind of the point I wanted to make. Really, is that this week, I have written / filmed / appeared in / edited. Now that's 3 sketches now.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This week, with different degrees of kind of.
You've been in 2 panel shows as well.
2 panel shows, which need a little bit of prep, and I feel like I've kind
7 blogs.
Yeah, we've done 7 of these this week, and I feel like I've hit a bit of a stride of kind of productivity and kind of getting stuff done, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited about it. Yeah. But also the flip side of that is I also feel a little bit like I've earned myself a bit of a weekend. In a weird way.
Maybe tonight being a Friday, which we've lost all sense of weekends, but tonight we can sit down and watch the Sesh gig and maybe chill out. I said yesterday that you'd driven me to drink. I didn't actually drink after that yesterday. We just went upstairs and kept Puppet company, but I'm drinking tonight.
But it is because there's some wrestling on this weekend. There's a wrestling pay-per-view, so I'll probably be watching that on Sunday. Lovely. I'll read some more of my comics and stuff and just chill out.
Oh, that's good, because I'm having a video chat with some people on Sunday night, so if we can coordinate that, that's good.
Well.
Or is it in the middle of the night?
No, it will be middle of the night Saturday, but I'll watch it as soon as I can on Sunday, because I can read all the reactions and stuff around it. I can do that while you're having your video chat.
Yeah.
But, no, it's I'm going to have a sort of a chilled
Sorry, I was just watching a cat then.
And I've had... I feel like there's maybe some stuff I've missed out. Well, I've been doing all this editing stuff. There's 2 panel shows. That's enough, isn't it? I've worked. It's a different kind of parameters, really. But when going into lockdown, and this is not to kind of throw shade on anyone who isn't getting stuff done in lockdown.
No, we weren't for ages.
We weren't for absolutely ages, and part of that was being hamstrung by a cat.
We were keeping a cat alive and keeping ourselves alive, and that is about it.
Like there was a few weeks where we didn't really get much done, weren't very productive, just kind of, I guess, enjoying the novelty of lockdown a bit and kind of cooking and kind of enjoying each other's company, and that's lovely. And so this isn't to throw shade on anyone who isn't having a productive time, and do what you in lockdown, do whatever works. But having had those weeks of kind of unproductivity, it's felt really nice this week going, I've really got a lot done. I mean, none of it has really generated any money, but that's not the, it has felt like...
That's not the aim at the moment,
but it
really,
has felt
is
like
it?
I've been working, I've been doing stuff, I've been getting things done, and I felt like I've got something to show for the efforts at the end of the week, and now I can have these couple of days of Saturday, Sunday chill out as if it was a real weekend, and then I've got more plans for what I'm going to do next week, and it just feels like quite satisfying and rewarding, and because it's stuff that I'm enjoying as well, even though I've worked quite hard on it, you don't have the grind of like,
No.
oh, I've gone to work in an office.
Yeah, you're not just
for a
going like,
job
oh,
that I
there's
don't
another
care
week
about,
gone.
And then, yeah, oh God, I come home and just
yeah.
You can just sit on the sofa and veg, and I've got to go in the next day. It's rewarding and satisfying. It's really nice, and if I could find some way to monetize this, and kind of keep doing creative stuff together, it's been really fun.
I guess you're adding a lot of strings to your bow, aren't you? Because you're learning how to edit things, you're making your own content and getting it out there, which will gradually build a following, which will, when eventually we can do other things like gigs and stuff, will potentially mean that your profile is still out there with people who book gigs.
Yeah.
You might actually have people who recognise your face from stuff they've seen online, so they'll go to the gigs.
And there's things like the sketch coming.
Yeah, you don't want to just sit and wait for it to be back to normal and do nothing.
The sketch that came out a couple of weeks ago caught the attention of the British Comedy Guide, and that's what led to that interview. So I wouldn't have had that otherwise.
And that's kind of good, because if anybody just does it, like, let's say a promoter who doesn't know you, hasn't seen you, goes like, Chris Chopping stand-up, well, you being interviewed by the British Comedy Guide will come up, and that gives you a bit of, a bit of heft, doesn't it?
If people see me if they're watching a bit of stand-up on BBC One Wales tonight, and they've not, they don't attend kind of the local gigs, but they're in Wales and they watch the show, maybe they see me for the first time, maybe they like what I do, maybe they look me up, and there's some videos and stuff for them to watch, there's an interview they can read, there's a lot of content out there.
There's stuff now,
and
so someone goes, oh, I like that guy, I'll see more of his stuff.
My page, then down the line when my show that I filmed last year, and it finally makes its way onto the internet, my stand-up special, then maybe there'll be more people already interested to watch that, and it all kind of feeds into itself, doesn't it? So
I think that's the thing, like, even if you're not necessarily doing something that you're directly getting paid for, it might mean that you're more likely to get stuff down the line, and it'll open up opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So that's the thing, like with any career, like there's not just with stand-up, but with anything, particularly anything creative, you do have to graft at it. You do have to just keep doing stuff and do the unpaid things and do the guest spots on other people's stuff and be quite sort of willing to, just lend a hand and do what you can. He's looking at a cat, if you're wondering what he's smiling at. And it's sort of eventually some stuff will come to fruition. Some stuff you'll do and never hear of it again. But, that's that. You don't know which bits are going to lead to what, do you? So you kind of have to do them all. Yeah. So it is really sort of satisfying that you're managing to get some stuff like that done, despite the fact that we can't leave the house.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really proud of you, Babs. I think you've done really well. I am quite enjoying the sort of bragging rights, really. But like, my boyfriend's on the BBC tonight. Like, that's exciting. So yeah, you won't brag about it, but I'm allowed.
But also, you've had some praise for your performances in the videos.
I have. I find that strange. I feel like I need to have a disclaimer that's just like Ellie Daniel * not a comedian.
On that note,
right, I'm going to pause the telly, and we'll come back to Ellie Daniel, not
pause
a comedian.
Pause
the telly. Yep. And I've unpaused the telly. Right. It's been lovely actually, because obviously my background, if you know me, I studied drama at uni and very quickly discovered that, because when I went into doing that, I thought maybe I wanted to be an actress. Discovered very quickly that doing it professionally and actually auditioning for stuff, I did not have a thick enough skin for it. First ever audition that I'd ever done, and this wasn't even like a sort of public thing, this was for a university production. I auditioned and was told afterwards, I didn't get it, and I knew the guy, because one of the guys that was on the panel, because he was in my class. So I said to him, can I have any feedback? And he was like, oh, well, to be honest, you did a great job. If you were thinner and a bit prettier, you'd have got it. I was just like, okay, so I just have to change my face. So yeah, it wasn't, and I was just like, oh, I don't think because he thought that was positive feedback. So I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. But I've always enjoyed doing it. And then after uni, and then when I was living in London, I started sort of doing a bit of singing and performing on the cabaret scene and stuff. But obviously that's performing songs. I've never I've never done comedy, but it's fun, like learning lines and performing again, even though I'm shit at learning lines. But even just doing this,
I don't
it's
give
fun.
you much notice for learning the lines, though, do I? To be fair.
I would love to actually learn the lines and then just bash it out in like a 2-take malarkey, but that's not going to happen if I'm given the script then.
They are topical videos, though,
yeah.
to be fair.
But yeah, so I am really enjoying it, and yeah, I've had some really nice feedback from a few people, so that's nice. But yeah, this has been quite self-indulgent so far. So let's talk about some real-world stuff, shall we?
All right.
Because yeah, you told me a story just before this. It was like, oh, we're going to talk about that, aren't we? And I hadn't seen the story, which doesn't happen very often. But I've kind of had my eyes shut to the real world today.
Well, Dominic Cummings.
Oh, that lovely, lovely man.
Lovely man.
Oh.
He has been in the news because he obviously around the same time as Boris Johnson, he also contracted COVID-19
Yes.
and had to self-isolate. He didn't end up going to hospital, but he spent 14 days in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Or did he?
Oh, so it was when he was actually supposed to be isolating.
So he was supposed to be isolating. You look so pleased. He was
I
supposed to be
am.
isolating.
I am pleased because
And
it's just
kind of the statement from the government
you
was
can't
that
really argue
isolating
that
at
that's
his
not
London home.
right.
And then, thanks to a joint investigation from The Guardian and The Mirror, it's emerged that perhaps he went away to stay at his parents' house in Durham.
How old are his parents?
I don't know.
Were they there? But that's not essential travel anyway, is
Either or.
it?
You're not supposed to travel to another property. You're not supposed to travel to other people's homes.
But I'm just wondering if that's an extra level of dickishness. If he went to spend time with his parents, who are they've got to be at least in their 60s, haven't they?
Like, you shouldn't, if you've got COVID-19, you shouldn't be endangering other people by going to their house. Whoever you are.
Yeah, he had a positive fucking test. Don't go and spend time with other people who haven't been exposed, you fucking knob.
I assumed they were there.
What a gimboid.
I guess there's a chance it's like some spare home that they've got.
Oh yeah, they might not have been there,
money, but still, like, you shouldn't be travelling to Durham. I don't know why you would do that and not just stay in the London home. Really, I don't understand.
Maybe he prefers the staff up north.
Maybe. But it's,
what a cunt. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry, actually. Dominic Cummings is a cunt of the highest order, but I am quite glad that he's been caught out just doing something that objectively wrong.
His partner is a journalist.
Yeah.
Wrote a piece for The Spectator about the isolation. Didn't mention where they were, but I mean...
Oh, he lives with her and she was isolating too. Right,
and their 4-year-old child.
Right.
So, and we sort of wrote a whole article about it. Didn't mention that they'd popped up to Durham. You'd think that'd come up, wouldn't you? She was presumably paid for that article. People have been sacked or forced to resign for less.
Yeah, Ferguson left for less. He didn't have a positive COVID test when he was when he was letting his girlfriend visit.
No, so this is just
he won't get sacked
scenes.
though,
No,
because Dominic Cummings is the fucking puppet master.
I've said this before though.
Yeah.
It's the same with Boris Johnson, and I think it's true of Dominic Cummings as well. They are both people that have kind of pursued power in various forms. You know, Boris Johnson has spent a career sort of aiming for the role of Prime Minister. Dominic Cummings obviously taken a slightly different route, prefers to be the kind of shadowy power behind the throne rather than the public face of things. But, you know, they both obviously crave power, but it's that... I think it's a very childish thing, that sense of like, I want power and then I can do what I want and no one can tell me what to do, as opposed to, no, power comes with responsibility.
I want
you've
to
got to set an
lead the
example
country and improve the lives of the people.
Like, he wants the power to ignore the rules.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I thought when you said he'd done it. I was just like, yeah, right. Well, he doesn't think that the rules apply to him because he thinks he's above this. I have very little doubt that he is basically... oh, yeah, well, that I've no doubt about that. But either just sort of an out-and-out narcissist, sociopath, combination of the two. I think he wants status and glory and power, but not responsibility. And I think, actually, for both of those personality types, you mentioned Boris Johnson and him. I think Boris Johnson wanted to be seen to be in the most important job in the country. And he got it. He didn't want to be Prime Minister. He wanted to get the job of Prime Minister so that he could say he was Prime Minister. Because basically, he's got the best job in the country. Well done me, aren't I glorious? I'm a bit more worried about your Dominic Cummings types, because he's got in, like, through the the side door, he's not elected, so he keeps his job. Whoever else sort of comes and goes, he has to grease the wheels and make sure he's in favour with them all, but he's been part of sort of power in the background in various forms for a long time. So I suspect with him, he wants to be powerful.
Well,
he wants his decisions to affect lots of people. He doesn't want the status or glory. He literally wants to be the one who makes things happen, which is why I call him a puppet master.
Your man Malcolm Tucker from The Thick of It, isn't he?
But less honest.
Less honest than Malcolm Tucker, obviously. Malcolm Tucker, by comparison, is a very reasonable man.
I would rather Malcolm Tucker I'd rather be stuck in a lift with Malcolm Tucker than with Dominic Cummings.
Yeah. Have you seen all of The Thick of It?
Most of it. I don't think I've seen. I've never sat down and watched it through, but I've probably seen all of it, just not in a binge session. It's brilliant. And what was the film that they did that was
In the Loop?
In the Loop, yes. Oh, they were the same team behind 2012, weren't they? But I might not have been. But yeah, In the Loop is brilliant, and The Thick of It is
was the guy behind it. Who?
Was he not part of the In the Loop lot?
Yeah.
2012
no,
lot.
But he did go on. He went
I don't
to
know why
America
I've
after
put
that
them
and
together.
made Veep.
Veep. Yes, that was the other thing I was thinking of. Yes.
And of course, before that, he did the Armando Nucci shows, which is one of my favourite sketches.
I love Armando Nucci. Yeah, he's brilliant, and he does really good talking heads on Stuart Lee stuff as well.
And he did The Death of Stalin.
Yes, I enjoyed that, but I wouldn't say that was my oh my god, that's my favourite thing he's ever done. I thought it was. I probably needed to be a bit better up on my history, and know the sort of the players that were being sort of satirized in that. So it's brilliant, and if you do know your history, it is probably extra funny. But I was sort of I didn't really know much about Stalin.
He also did a thing, and this was years and years ago, and it was a one-off, and it was on BBC Three or even BBC Choice, whatever they had back then, and it was a year just before Charlie Brooker started doing his sort of yearly wipe of the year thing, which obviously have stopped as well now anyway. But he
come back, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie Brooker was amazing at it. But Armando Nucci did a year in review, 1 year. I think it was called something like 2014, the stupid version.
Right.
But it was so good.
Oh, if only he'd done 2060.
And it had, because you mentioned Stuart Lee, because he had Stuart Lee and Richard O'Ardy and Adam Buxton, people like that doing talking heads.
Right.
And just kind of sent up things that happened in the news and celebrities and stories and things. And Stuart Lee did a bit about the Princess Diana memorial fountain.
Oh God, that was misjudged, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God, that's one silver lining of all of this. Think of the yearly recap of some of this shit that's going on. They're not going to be short of material, are they?
I'd say, but
just the amount of crazy shit that's going on. Any one of the stories of this year could have been the story of the year, except it's just the gods are just going, hold my beer, I'm going to do something extra. So it's just okay, let's set fire to Australia. Now let's kill everyone. Now let's flood Wales.
Do you know the sad thing, though, about Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings, to bring it back to that?
The sad thing?
Well, there's
a lot of sad things about Boris Johnson.
The sad thing pertaining to this
Dominic
new
Cummings.
story about him getting caught out and everything is that even if he was held to account for it, even if he lost his job, even if Boris Johnson was forced to resign over the mistakes he's made, or was voted out at the next election, which I'm more hopeful about. But even if those things happen, right? They're not going to be going, oh, well, I've got to go and get a job at...
No, they're not going to be living in squalor.
They're
shamed. They're going to still be fine.
Get big jobs with consultancy firms where they have big boozy lunches and get paid, millions of pounds a year and do after dinner speaking.
Yeah, well, Boris Johnson gets the prime ministerial pension now, so he can just retire.
So whatever happens,
and just do what he likes.
Do you still get the prime ministerial pension if you resign in disgrace?
Yeah, I would assume so. If you get sacked, you might not, but they never sack them. They ask you to resign so that you can still get all the perks. But I would imagine, basically, yeah, if you choose to resign, you still get all of that.
All right. Well, I'd like them to ask him to resign and him arrogantly refuse, and then them be forced to sack him.
I don't know who can sack him. The Queen won't.
Oh, I bet
and
the
I
Black
don't
Rock
know.
could do it.
who can sack the Prime Minister.
The Black Rod, probably, or the Speaker of the House.
I don't think the Speaker of the House can sack someone. I don't
What
know
about-
enough. This is why they needed to do GCSE politics in state schools, because I got no fucking clue of how any of this
What
works.
about the Chief Whip?
No, well, they're assigned by the party leader, so they could just, like, you fire me, I fire you. They're not going to, you can't.
Yeah! Let's see that play out.
I don't imagine Boris would do it in quite
do
such an extravagant way.
PMQs.
Yeah.
You fire me, I fire you.
You can't fire me, I fire you. Yeah, no, it's bullshit. I don't.
You can't fire me, I quit. Who you think you are, motherfucker?
I don't know if that's like an accurate portrayal of Boris Johnson's act. Oh, I'd love to see him bumble around with that. Oh, I'd love to see, like, but this is the thing. I don't know what Boris Johnson could do or what could happen to Boris Johnson for him to be disgraced. He has no shame, and nothing bad that he does seems to sort of carry, like, I don't know what he'd have to do. Maybe he'd, like, have to, I don't know, piss in the Diana Memorial, or, like, because he'd have to do something that pisses off other people that are on the right, that are all like, oh, he's trying his best. Like, what? You have to do something to them, because the rest of us can all see that he's a fucking moron. The man is a liability, a liar, and a twat. But apparently,
He'd have to
that doesn't matter.
He'd have to.
I don't think he could get away with murder.
I think he'd have to halve house prices.
Yeah, that
That'd be
probably
the
would
one
piss
thing.
off
It'd piss
quite
off
a lot of
Middle England
people.
and-
Yeah. I think, but you
Don't
like.
upset the homeowners.
Yeah, I don't know what
and
he'd
the
have to do.
landlords.
I think he could kick a kid in the face on purpose and he'd still be in his job. He could punt a baby. Like, just nothing he does. Like, somebody will, like,
Let's hope we never find out.
no,
on that
well,
one.
I just,
For the sake of the baby.
yeah, well,
Don't know whose baby it is.
his baby. Maybe he could punt his baby. I don't want him to, but I reckon he'd get away with it. Like, he's just, no shit sticks to that man. And maybe that's down to Dominic Cummings. I don't know. But yeah, they're right bunch of twat waffles. And,
Aren't they? And on
I
that
hate them.
bombshell, on the old twat.
On the old twat waffles.
Oh, that's the alarm to say it's the end of the show. They probably
So-
can't hear that, can they?
They might be able to hear that. I think
The
we've heard that previously.
Kitchen
Right.
alarm.
So, twat waffles.
Twat waffles.
Twat waffles. Twat waffles out.